So Cara is down with our resident coach, Mitchell Spearman.
Right, well, it's coaching corner time again with Mitchell Spearman. He was kind enough to join us yesterday. We talked through a bit of the short game, but we're on the driving range today, and we're going to have a bit of a chat to Mitchell about all sorts of things. But we've been here all morning. We've caught up with a few people. Stephanie, another one of our reporters, spoke to Bubba Watson's trainer a bit earlier, and it's very interesting looking and understanding how the players warm up and prepare themselves to start day one in an Open Championship. And he said to her, he said, in truth, the players spend about an hour on the driving range, but in fact, if they warm up properly beforehand, you only really need about 15 minutes on the range. So there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes before they even get to the driving range, I understand.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you've got to get your body ready to play golf for the day. And what we've learnt in today's world is that you want to be fit, you want to be flexible, you want to get your body warmed up. So some guys might do a bit of cardio work on a treadmill in order to loosen the body, then do a stretch. If you've got your trainer here with you, which someone like Bubba already does, that's very important because these guys are going to have long careers and they want to make sure that they're injury free throughout their career, but they also want to hit the ball as far as they can. Bubba's a long hitter, so he wants his muscles to be loose and flexible, and having his trainer here is a smart thing to do.
It's interesting that mentioning a gym, because a lot of people don't think of golf as a very active sport in some ways. Of course it is, but a lot of people don't initially think of players really working out, but they do today. The game has changed so much, and someone like Tiger Woods has only helped that. But it's something that the players do away from the course, isn't it? They'd sort of arrive half ready and then do the finishing touches here.
Yeah, sure. On the PGA Tour, they have some bands that are right there. Here, you might have something at the house where you're staying or just a local fitness area. But you do want to get your body loosened up. A lot of guys use bands in order to stretch themselves out. And golf's a game that you play your whole life. So the idea is that if you can get your body flexible and loose, you can make a full turn. If you make a full turn, you can make a nice swing, and then you're going to hit the ball well. So for everybody, it makes sense to do a little bit of stretching and flexibility before you play.
And of course, nobody more so than the slightly older guys in the field. And we caught up with Miguel Angel Jimenez a bit earlier, and he has this rather comical warm-up routine that the crowd loves. But he makes a point of saying as well, I do come and do those stretches on the range. And in fact, we saw Tom Watson doing that this morning, some lunges. But he already comes to the range warmed up. But the older they get, it's still important. They've still got to make the time to stretch out and be ready on the first tee.
Sure, your body just takes time to warm up as you get older. Today's a beautiful day to play golf. The temperature is nice. It's very pleasant. It's not hot, so you're not going to get warmed up through hitting balls like you would in 90-degree, American style weather for the summer. But it's injury prevention. You want your body to feel good, and you don't really want to hit a few scuffy first shots if you don't have to, because your rhythm's not there and your body isn't in tune. So it's all about, and I think there's a mental side to this too. You see other guys doing it, you need to be doing it. I think there's an element of the concentration you get from it. I mean, Gary Player, who won the Open here in '74, was famous for being really the first fitness guru of the industry. So, it has been around for a while.
And he still is, isn't he? Lovely Gary Player, still doing his 100 sit-ups or 700 or something mad a day. But anyway, we're talking of today, the conditions. It is remarkably calm. It's actually a fantastic setup this morning. It's totally still. There's a tiny, tiny breeze in the air, but honestly, not much at all. And the players really should be able to take advantage of that this morning. Yeah,
absolutely. I think they'd have woken up this morning, looked outside, see there's not too much breeze, not too much sunlight out here, and a great opportunity to go and score. There's nice moisture in the ground, which is what you like. It means the fairways might play a little wider because the ball's not going to run out as far. The greens are going to be receptive to the shot, so it's not very links-like with respect to that, but it's an ideal day to play. I think guys might have changed what they put away to wear to play in today. They might have changed clothes a little bit and gone for some couple of layers and thinner, because you don't need a lot of waterproof stuff out here or heavy cashmere sweaters, and you can free it up. And this is good light. I think this light allows you to feel the judgment very well. When it's very bright, sometimes it's hard to see. You won't need any sunglasses on today, just what you see, and really gauge into the feel.
That's a really good point, a really good couple of points actually. One about clothing and about not overloading yourself and feeling comfortable with the swing, and the other about the conditions is that actually this is great, but it might well not be like this all day, and the guys that tee off later could be playing in a totally different ballgame.
Oh, yeah, you're going to put your waterproofs in the bag for sure, an extra sweater in the bag for sure, so you need to take that into account, because this is links golf and we're not far from the ocean, so you've got to, that's what happens out here. But the guys playing now this morning, this is the best conditions of the week so far.
It is indeed. Well, let's hope it stays like this. Well, it is coaching corner, as I did say. I can't tease the fans and not show them a little bit of Mitchell's expertise here. So we are on the driving range. And if you just take a look down, actually, Jeff, it's remarkable how much it's quietened down since we were here a bit earlier. It was mayhem with Tiger and everyone here, but it's a much calmer atmosphere here now. And that's just because of just the way the tee times gather throughout the day.
Yep, and these guys come to the range and give themselves plenty of time to warm up. You don't want to be in a rush getting here. You might have a couple of things in your swings that you've been working on the week, but come Thursday, you want to be ready to play. So you're coming to the range today, going through a set routine that you've probably done many times before. Some guys, like Nick Faldo, used to like going even, so he'd go wedge 8, 6, 4, and then the next day he'd go 9, 7, 5, because he wanted to wear his clubs out evenly when he practiced and never have a favorite club, so it was a way of doing it. Tom Watson likes to warm up with a 3-iron because it's a difficult club to hit, and he feels if he hits it well, then he must be swinging well. If he doesn't hit it well, then it's not a big deal anyway because he's just warming up with it. So guys have a different philosophy, but the most standard way is you start with a shorter iron and you find your rhythm and feel, and then you work your way down the bag and you finish up generally hitting drivers, and then you want to hit a few different shape shots. You want to hit the draw, you want to hit the fade, you want a couple of low wind shots, and just feel that you've got your game ready to go. You're very much in a quiet mindset. Most of the guys won't even have their swing instructors around now because they don't really need that before they're going out to play. Maybe a little bit of a confidence boost, or maybe your mental coach, but by now your swing should be where it needs to be to go and play in a major championship.
Really interesting. So Mitchell, you're giving me so much stuff to pick up on, but that's so interesting. You obviously used to work with Nick Faldo for years, and you know, that's so interesting to hear that actually he used to have this little system and he just play the even clubs one day and then the odd ones, and funny, you've picked up on a lot of things just there. We were speaking to Butch Harmon earlier and he said exactly, he said, well, if we're working on anything now, we're in trouble. This should purely be going through the ropes, warming up and getting ready. And interesting that you say the swing coaches aren't around, but it's fascinating to see how many of the players today do have the psychological coaches, because you know they can still play a part.
Yeah, and part of it is because, like all people that play the game, just because you're a professional doesn't mean you don't have fears. You look out there and you see 4 bunkers on the right, you know, I don't want to hit it over there, so you hit it a little bit too far left. So how do you not have that thought that I don't want to hit it over there? And if you have that thought, how do you then deal with it so it then doesn't become tight in your swing that you're thinking about the bunkers? So having someone who can reinforce some positive things for you, someone to just talk to about what your swing is. Your caddy has a certain role of what he's going to do for you, and he certainly plays a mental stability for you, but you also having this separate guy that you can have a conversation with, I think has proved to be very successful. I mean, last year at the Open Championship, you know, Darren Clarke was reminded that he's a good player, and he came out of really, you know, an average season to turn something on very special, and for that 1 week was the champion golfer.
Well, it certainly was, and I know he was working with Bob Rotella, I think, last year. But interestingly, I heard Monty talking on the radio last night, talking about when you're on the course and the caddy is really your only, you know, your coaches from all different angles of the game can help you. But once you step on that first tee, it's just your caddy, and you can't even so much as make eye contact with a mental coach or anyone once you're on the course in case they give it away. But you mentioned the fear factor. This is something else that's come up a lot in our coverage. I think we were talking yesterday. Harrington said in his press conference, you know, he said the young guys just don't have a fear factor anymore, and it's great because they're going out and they're going for it. You know, he said when he first started, he felt he had to do his time before he could win a big event, but it's just not like that anymore.
No, that's what's really changed in our sport. Is these guys come out now and they're already winners on the junior level, they're winners at the college level, and there is no fear. And we're seeing a guy like Keegan Bradley come out and win the USPGA last year in his first year on tour is really quite extraordinary. Must have been a heck of a player going in there. He won in Dallas earlier in the year and had the confidence, and he was going up against Jason Duffner, who again hadn't won on tour until this year. So these guys have no fear now. I think when Louis Oosthuizen won, you know, that's a great example. So anybody in the field this week can win, and just to get into the field now, you've got to be a good player. There's a lot of good players that aren't in this week because the qualifying system's pretty tough. You've got to be top 50 in the world to be exempt into here. So it's tough standards all the way, but anybody in this field has a chance of probably winning the tournament.
They do, and another very good point, exactly. Matteo Manassero, we were only speaking to, fantastic player. He's moved up slowly. He's now first reserve, but he's still not in, and you know, those are the sort of people that are missing out. But anyway, we are here. We're going to do a little bit of a physical demo from Mitchell. I don't know what you want to run through, but it's quite interesting for me to see the kind of warm-up routine the players go to, or what they're really up to when they're here on the range.
Sure. I mean, I think what you're seeing when you're out here on the range is, you know, they're seeing the shots, they're hitting the swings, they're picking targets. I think they're aiming at targets out here, and they're just being very precise about, actually, there's a little pitch shot this guy's hitting, just aiming at a target, at a specific ball, working on his distance. So you're working through your routine. you want to see that the swing feels well. But when I was on the way walking through the course today, I saw Charles Schwartzel out there on the golf course. He was out on the second hole, and when he's making his swing, before his swing, he has a very interesting sort of practice move of practicing a really wide takeaway. He stands there like this.
Come and have a look at this, Jeff. Mitchell's just going to give us a little demo on Charles.
And you can see that he's obviously working on getting width in his swing, and by width we mean putting the handle of the club away from the body here, so it's a good distance from your chest. We don't want to be in close, we want to be out wide. So Charles had this very set the club here and then really pushed out, and it was a really exaggerated 1, 2, 3. He felt it there for a second and then went down. And so what that does isn't necessarily a thought, it's a feeling. He's doing that movement with his body, he's stretching out, maybe pushing the lifeline of his right hand away from his body there and really picturing the wide. Then he goes back, lines up the shot, goes into his routine and just executes the shot. And you'll see different players out here this week working on it. Earlier in the year, Tiger Woods was working on a little move where he appeared to be coming more from what we term outside to inside. He was a little bit more covering the ball in on top, and before every shot he made this little covering move coming down. So players have their thing of whatever it is they're working on, and what you really want to have happen is that trigger, that feel that even golfers at home get when they have that lesson and they go out and they hit the ball very well the next day. That's the sensation that you're looking for. You're looking for that fresh sensation that really works, that's that wow, I've got it feeling. And if you've got that, then you know the week could be a good week for you.
Then you're ready to go. Oh great, thank you so much, Mitchell, for running us through that again. I know we'll catch up with you again soon, but that's really interesting. You've just got to get yourself in the zone and be ready to go, and even once you're on that tee, running yourself through those practice swings is definitely not a bad thing to do, and get yourself in the motion. But anyway, that was another coaching corner with our favourite Mitchell Spearman, and we'll be back again with him throughout the week.